I'm Max Lopez, and this is the Blue Wave. Marjorie Taylor Greene has made some very interesting remarks related to the weather and whether or not it can be controlled. Remember, this is the same member of Congress that said in the past that Jewish space lasers were involved in wildfires back in 2020. But before we look at her remarks, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with someone who's into politics. It helps YouTube take my channel more seriously and spread the word to more people. So let's go ahead over here to good old Mediaite. It says, the article says, they can control the weather, claims Marjorie Taylor Greene, after deadly hurricane Helene kills more than 200. Marjorie Taylor Greene weighed in on the deadly hurricane, which wreaked havoc in her state of Georgia and across the southern United States on Thursday, suggesting that the hurricane had been controlled. Yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. Greene also posted a map of the areas most affected by the hurricane, overlaid with an electoral map by political party. This is a map of hurricane-affected areas with an overlay of electoral map by political parties, shows how hurricane devastation could affect the election, she warned. Following her election to Congress in 2020, Greene received criticism over previous comments she had made suggesting the wildfires in California had been started by space lasers connected to the wealthy Rothschild family. Wow, oh, wow. Where do you even start with this? We know that a lot of the country today is predisposed to conspiratorial thinking and really just eats this stuff up without any evidence whatsoever, because it plays into their ideas about the government being against them and the government not having their backs, and really just not having anyone look out for them, and having the government be this big bad entity that's always looking to hurt them in some kind of way. Stuff like this plays right into those kinds of fears, and it's just so insidious and so ridiculous, because Marjorie Taylor Greene, I believe in her heart of hearts, she doesn't believe this. She doesn't believe this stuff. But it plays to a base. It riles people up that are of a certain mindset, that are able to be led down certain paths of thinking. And, you know, it's absurd. We all know here that there's no entity out there that's able to control the weather in any kind of meaningful way, where you can direct a hurricane here or direct a hurricane there and direct it at people based on their political affiliation. It's just nonsense. I mean, if we had this sort of technology, why wouldn't America be using this technology in Ukraine, right? The Ukraine-Russian conflict. Just send a hurricane over there to Moscow. Just send a hurricane over there to right behind the Russian front line, and and wipe them out. I mean, why not use this technology in a number of other conflicts that have arisen in recent years? It's absolutely absurd, but the thing is that we'll have 35, 40, 45% of the country will believe what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying here, because we live in such a politicized world where if things come from the right, and you are somebody who is a MAGA supporter, I don't know why I said it like that. It's believable, right? It's where basically we have a society where echo chambers are a thing, right? Where if something's said from the right and it's coming from the right people with the right beliefs that align with my own, then I'll give it more credence. I'll give it more time of day in my mind. And if it doesn't, then it's propaganda and it's completely made up, right? I see this in some of y'all that come into my channel here and make comments on my videos that seem like y'all are not even, didn't even watch the video or aren't even understanding the topic that I'm talking about. It's that I'm the blue wave and I am a self-proclaimed leftist, and I support Harris and Biden, and that automatically makes my point a moot point, a lost point on some of y'all, because you're coming into my videos, you're coming into my channel with a certain predisposed way of thinking that blocks information from getting through to y'all's heads in some cases, leading to some of these ridiculous comments that are left on my videos that always give me a laugh, by the way. So keep making them. But yeah, it's just crazy that we live in a day and age where, and Donald Trump kind of said this best back in 2016. He said, and I don't agree with Donald Trump on much at all, if anything at all. But he said in 2016, I could go out there in Times Square or something, or some public place. I could go out in broad daylight in a public place and shoot somebody live on TV, and I wouldn't lose any support. There's some truth to that, unfortunately. Look at what happened on January 6th. I mean, Trump it doesn't seem that that should have been the end for him on January 6th. That should have been it. In a functioning democracy, a functioning country with functioning adults that have their thinking hats on, January 6th would be the end of MAGA. It would be the end of Trumpism. For anybody that wants to have a democracy where we peacefully transfer power from one party to the next and be a country that's represented by the will of the people, well, you can't have Trump doing what he did on January 6th. But the thing is that 35 to 40 to 45% of the country is so wrapped up in the conspiratorial thinking. They're so dug in on what they believe when it comes to Trump and what they believe when it comes to Democrats. It creates a world, it creates a America where Marjorie Taylor Greene can say stuff like, oh yes, there are Jewish space lasers that are creating wildfires, and Hurricane Helene is a controlled weather event directed at Republicans. She can make those statements and get away with it and not lose any support at all because of where the lines have been drawn and people's unwillingness to interpolate any information that is from a different side of the line than they're willing to go. And yeah, it's unfortunate that Marjorie Taylor Greene is able to make such ridiculous statements and not lose any support. But really, again, it just shows kind of how polarized we are in this country. And my hope is to get back to a day and age in America where ridiculous, untrue, making ridiculous, untrue, unfounded, unscientific statements that are contrary to reality, that are not based in any sort of truth or any sort of reality, or is not solving any sort of problem that any American has, that such statements will be career enders and non-starters for being a leader of constituents of, you know, lots of different races, lots of different economic statuses, lots of different political affiliations. Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments about directing Hurricane Helene being directed by the Democrats at Republicans should disqualify her from being an elected official or really having any sort of position of power or any sort of job in the future that has any sort of effect on any other people and what they are able to experience and the lives that they're able to live in America. You would hope that it would disqualify her from holding a position that would have such an impact on such a number of people, but it won't, unfortunately. You know, let's get back to a day and age where we can have some some civility, and these crazy off the wall statements are career enders. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to discussing policy and issues that are affecting the American people. Not to say that Helene is not an issue that's affecting the American people. It obviously is, but how about we discuss how we're going to help out the victims, right? Instead of trying to blame the left for creating the disaster, which is just gonna, you know, rile up more people to believe more conspiratorial, crazy things about their brothers and sisters in this country that is obviously not true. But, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene and much of MAGA, they seem to lack the responsibility to not make such misleading, unscientific, untrue, unfounded statements, but also come out against and speak out against just the craziness that we hear and see on a daily basis from the right wing. There's not many in the right that are ready, willing, and able to do so. And the ones that have been quickly outcasted from the right in this country, so much so that we have Adam Kinzinger speaking at the DNC and flipping Dick and Liz Cheney campaigning with Kamala Harris. It's due to kind of a lack of tolerance for any sort of thinking that goes against or chips away at or points out logical holes, logical flaws in the conspiratorial thinking that much of MAGA is very, very predisposed to participating in. So that's all I got for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with someone who's into politics. It helps YouTube take my channel more seriously. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.